This video is brought to you by NordVPN. Today, we're asking the question, can you be too strong? Now, your initial impulse might be to say no. That's a nonsense question. You can't be too strong, just like you can't be too happy, or too wealthy, or too healthy. However, I think that there are some circumstances and contexts in which you certainly can be too strong. In fact, it could be causing you pain, leading to injury, and slowing you down and making you a worse overall athlete. So that's how you get loads of really strong people angry at you, which is not the smartest thing to do. So before you lynch me, let me explain myself. I'm not saying that you can't be fast and strong or agile and strong. In fact, I'm one of the first people to say that you can. I do not think that building lots of muscle is going to slow you down. In fact, I think it's going to make you faster as long as you can tap into that strength. It's just that we need to train our strength in relation to other things. And to really answer the question, can you be too strong? We need to ask another question, that being, too strong for what? Because I think you can be too strong for your own good. And the first example of this that I can think of is something that I had personal experience with. Because if you're really strong, but you have poor technique and you have poor mobility, perhaps you have compensatory movement patterns, then actually that strength is opening up more opportunities for injury. So I went through a phase where I stopped rock climbing, where I stopped doing martial arts, and all I did was a kind of bodybuilding style training, except I didn't even really do legs properly. Yes, I went through that phase, and on top of this, I was working at a desk 9 to 5. I was freelance, but I was still sat down all day, usually in coffee shops or in my really small apartment with my wife. So I developed, kyphosis, and I couldn't even squat deeply without my heels coming up on the floor. So I wasn't moving great, but I could still lift an awful lot of weight. I could bench press double my body weight, about 155 kilograms. I could do like 5 reps of 50 kilogram dumbbell presses, things like that. And the problem is that I'm now picking up those weights, especially those dumbbells, but I don't have the form or the posture to do this safely. So the very fact that I was strong enough to lift the weight actually opened me up to injury because I didn't have the good movement patterns to back it up. And of course we see this all the time with someone who can deadlift or someone who can squat, but they're not doing it properly. Now, if you're not very strong, you're not going to cause yourself that much injury because you're not going to use too much weight. You might get the movement wrong, you might cause a little bit of a tweak, but it's not as bad as squatting badly with 200 kilograms on your back. So here's a scenario where you can be too strong. You're too strong for your own good. And what you should do in that scenario is ideally go back to the drawing board, stop with the ego lifts, lighten your loads, and focus on your form and things like that first.
I mean, you do know you're a freak. You do not know what I know because you have not earned those powers. You're careless with those powers. You flaunt them and you throw them around like a brat with his trust fund.
Once again, I'm the first to defend a little bit of bad form. I'm not a form Nazi. I don't think that every movement has to be done perfectly. In fact, I think a bit of variation is good, and I think listening to your own body and the way it moves is good. However, if you're piling an awful lot of weight on, then you need to be really careful and move properly. So either lower the weight and aim for higher rep ranges perhaps, and stop when your body's telling you to, or go back to the drawing board and really learn those movement patterns. This is where you can decide if you want to be an all-rounder who moves in a variety of ways, or a specialist who learns those specific movements really well. But if you're going to go that route, then you need to make sure you're doing it properly. Interestingly, I didn't have that problem when I did martial arts or rock climbing, and this is one avenue for a more functional performance. Do your powerlifting, do your bodybuilding, or whatever else, but just add on top of that some kind of activity that moves the body dynamically. In a similar vein, you can become too strong if your muscles develop a lot, but your tendons can't keep up. And this is an issue we see a lot with steroid use. Not only because this causes the muscles to get stronger a lot faster, but also because the tendons, they don't respond to steroids in the same way. So you're going to get much bigger muscles and the tendons are going to lag behind. Once again, this means you can lift the weight, but should you? And if you end up going to an extreme range of motion, for example, you're going to injure yourself. Or if you use a high rep range and the tendon wears out.
You want to know what your big mistake was, Black? What mistake? It's that stolen body! You feel the power in those Saiyan cells, but you don't truly understand it, because you didn't build it, and you'll never learn to think like that clown!
Just as you need to think carefully about how to ensure the best and healthiest performance from your body, you also need to think carefully about your internet security, which brings me to today's sponsor, NordVPN. So NordVPN is a VPN, that means a virtual private network, and you can use this to relay information via a server located elsewhere. And you use this when browsing the web to obfuscate your location. It helps to keep your information safer from nefarious snoopers. Essentially, by going to the server looks up the page and then it brings it back to you. So as far as anyone listening in is concerned, you're only connected to the server. They don't know what goes on beyond that point. This also has other uses. For example, it allows you to watch content from other locations, by connecting to a server in that location, which then allows you to access Netflix or another app as though you were from that place. Plus, NordVPN offers a bunch of other features. For example, using their double VPN feature, you can actually set up a kind of chain of VPNs and thereby improving your security even further. NordVPN is the fastest VPN according to the latest speed tests. It works on a bunch of different devices and I use it all the time. You guys can get access to an exclusive deal by heading to nordvpn.com/thebioneer. Right now there's also a limited offer getting you 4 months free if you buy into their 2-year plan. Thanks again to NordVPN for sponsoring this video, and now on with the show. This is also an issue with myostatin reduction, whether you're talking about future gene modification techniques or some of these supplements that claim to lower myostatin. Myostatin actually plays an important role in tendon repair and maintenance. So it goes beyond simply muscles being too strong, you're actually actively reducing the strength of your tendons. So if you're going to get really strong, then you also need to give some love to your tendons. This is a really good idea. I made a whole video on tendon strength, so check that out if you're interested. In terms of your performance, there's lots of reasons why having too much muscle can be a bad thing. For example, if you have too much muscle but not enough cardio, this is going to be a net negative. Again, you can be strong and you can have good work capacity. This is certainly true. Look at someone like Ross Edgley, or any CrossFitter for that matter. However, if you're not training for this specifically, then just having lots of muscle is going to increase your metabolic demands because muscle is metabolically demanding. So someone who doesn't do any cardio, who's very thin and not muscular, is going to last longer when it comes to a long distance run versus someone who's very muscular doing the same thing but who also doesn't train cardio. You want to train your cardio in a systemic manner. That means with things like running, so you've got a stronger heart, you're pumping more blood around your body, but at the same time you also want to make sure that you're training local endurance, because local adaptations do occur in the muscle to make them more or less endurant. So for example, that might mean blood supply, or it might mean mitochondrial count, or it might even mean fast twitch and slow twitch muscle fiber ratios. Either way, you need to make sure that if you have that muscle, you're able to supply it. Otherwise, you're going to be one of these people who's super strong but gets winded going up the stairs, or who's super strong but can't spar for more than 1 minute. And this is good for your health in general because you need to make sure that your heart is able to, keep up with the demands of your body. You will not get as strong as quickly by doing cardio as well as strength training. Potentially, you're going to slow down a little bit, your gains in both areas, but the overall benefits far outweigh the negatives. And in a similar manner, you also want to make sure you're training explosively if you're also building a lot of muscle, because building max strength is not the same as rate of force development. Rate of force development is how quickly you can engage the maximum amount of force possible from your muscles. This is what leads to plyometric performance and explosive performance if you want to be able to jump really high or punch really fast. If you have lots of muscle, this actually is going to slightly increase your explosiveness to begin with, because you have a greater pool of strength to draw upon. However, you will hit a point of diminishing returns, and there are plenty of studies, there's plenty of evidence to show that you can increase your explosive potential. You can increase fast twitch muscle fiber density, you can increase your ability to recruit those things. Some people think that this isn't true and all you need is strength training. However, that's not the case, otherwise athletes wouldn't do things like box jumps. At a certain point, getting heavier is going to mean you become less explosive unless you still train explosively, unless you're still ensuring that you can recruit those muscle fibers quickly to overcome that added weight. So to begin with, doing heavy squats will make you jump higher. At a certain point, you're going to stop seeing those gains, and then beyond that, you might even start to not jump as high because you're just getting super heavy. And that's where you might want to scale back and focus on something like bar speed even. Focus on going through the movement more explosively. This way, you're going to gain more strength, and you're going to make sure you still have the ability to tap into that strength as well.
But these bulky muscles make it hard to move fast. I may have great power, but what good is it if I can't catch my enemy? It takes more than brute strength to win a fight.
So yeah, guys, those are a few ways in which you can be too strong, and those are some solutions. You can make sure that you're building strength, but in a way that's good for you, and that you can actually employ, whether you're playing sports or just moving through life. Let me know in the comments down below what you think. Is this nonsense, or can you be too strong? And if you're looking for a training program that not only builds max strength, but also endurance, mobility, explosiveness, aesthetics, even cognitive performance, then check out my ebook and training program, Super Functional Training 2.0. I'll put a link to that in the description down below. That comes with a massive 80+ page ebook, as well as over 2 hours of instructional video, and it's designed to adapt to anyone's situation and to build all those things all at once with a single training program. In an upcoming video, I'm going to talk about how to combine kettlebell training with powerlifting, and people really enjoyed that video on athletic calisthenics, so I might provide an actual program for that for people to follow as well. So if you want to see those things, then hit the subscribe and bell button. Either way, thank you so much for watching this one, guys. and bye for now.